Leafs, Preds, Game 4 of the Toronto Maple Leafs 2025-2026 regular season. Back for another game preview right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. I'm Zack Phillips, and today we're going to be breaking down what the lineup looks like for tonight, how things are shaking out, who's starting in net for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as well as our best bet, all presentation of Bet365. And now, it's early October. It's Game 4. You don't want to be calling things a must-win because they're not technically a must-win. But if there was ever a not must-win, this would be the one. The Maple Leafs 1-2 on the season, coming off back-to-back losses to the Detroit Red Wings. And the Toronto Maple Leafs fan base right now is a little restless, myself included. I'm not really worried about the record. I'm not really worried about the fact that they've lost games. Everything will right itself and everything will kind of find its level. That stuff I'm not concerned about. But what I am concerned about is what we've seen from two guys especially. Auston Matthews and William Nylander to this point in the regular season, I know it's 3 games, have looked like they've been going through the motions. It looks and feels like, you know, your typical Sunday skate. You go out for a little recreation, have some fun with your buddies, or maybe it's just another preseason game to these guys. And in their heads, all that matters is the playoffs, which, sure, that's great, but you got to get there. And you're the ones who are the leading catalysts who are going to drive this bus and bring everybody along with you to make sure that you get to the playoffs. And right now, what we've seen from these guys has been uninspiring, to say the least. And it kind of feels like the guys around them are just here and there stepping up and making a push and showing that they've got some heart, got some intensity, got some balls to them. But for the most part, it's kind of just felt flat. And the closest we got was Monday, yesterday's Thanksgiving game, and it was a mid-afternoon sloppy hockey game all the way around where we didn't really see anything clean from either team. It kind of was just back and forth, making mistakes over and over and over again. That needs to change. I don't care that tonight's a back-to-back. I don't care that Cayden Primeau's the goalie that's going in net and it's not Anthony Stolarz. If this thing is going to start heading in the right direction, you got to start bringing some intensity here tonight against the Preds. I'm not even talking about, you know, I mean, look, I called it a must-win. I would love to see them win this one so that we don't have to have some dreaded post-game show here on the channel talking about major panic time and if it's time to blow this thing up and tank for McKenna. But let's get this in the right direction with some effort. I'm not as much concerned about the results. If you play with some intensity, you play with some balls, and you go out there with the intention of winning this game, which feels like hasn't really been the case so far in this season, then I think the post-game show is a little bit easier. And I think the viewing experience is a little bit easier as well. We'll dig into all that here on the lineup breakdown, which is provided to us thanks to our friends over at Daily Faceoff. And, you know, just taking a quick look, we are keeping things the same from what we had yesterday afternoon, and I think rightfully so. Just kind of rifling through because there's not really any changes here. Matthews-Knies, Auston Matthews, and Easton Cowan remain together. Quick note on this line. Matthews-Knies, I thought in the third period, was a horse for this team. He looked like he was the guy who was saying, I want to win this game, and I'm going to be the one to drag us to do so. They obviously fall short, but he looked like he was a guy that was pushing and pushing and pushing, trying to be a difference maker. Easton Cowan on the other side of that lineup, or on the other side of that line, I should say, he looked really good. There was some times you could tell pace wasn't quite there, whether he was just a step ahead or a step behind, trying to figure himself out here into this NHL roster on a daily basis. I still thought Easton Cowan looked really good. Then you go to the second line here, Matias Maccelli, John Tavares, William Nylander. I'm not sold on Matias Maccelli. I'm not going to lie to you. Matias Maccelli made some dodo bird plays. Let's call it that here. Some questionable plays that resulted in some good opportunities for the Red Wings, but I don't know. You could see that the skill is there if you can get some trust in the guy and he could show you that he can be more defensively responsible and he's not going to throw pizzas to the same degree, then I think he could be an effective player. I still don't know where he fits in this lineup if it's not first line right wing, because I just don't see it being, that ideal fit on that second line. I would rather a guy who works his bag off playing with Tavares and Nylander and being that guy. Another note here, obviously I touched on Nylander and the lack of kind of intensity so far to start. He's got to get going. I feel like tonight will be the night that he does. But Johnny T, he's not been bad to start this season, but he's kind of just being another guy. And I guess at which point, when you look at the salary cap and the salary hit that he's making here, okay, sure, he can afford to be, or you can afford for him to be another guy. But when you're talking about, you lost Mitch Marner and John Tavares had this unbelievable season last year, you can't have him fall off a cliff. You can have him regress, but not disappear. So he's got to step up here as well. Down to your third line, Bobby McMann, Max Domi, and Nick Robertson is your third line for tonight against the Nashville Predators. All I'm going to say about this line is that we've seen spurts of them being a line that can make things happen. I thought Bobby McMann had a hell of a game yesterday. It doesn't really come through with goals, but he makes an incredible play on the Matthews-Knies goal that cuts the lead to 2-1. He did have a couple other shifts there where he made some great bursts up ice and was able to kind of, cause problems for the Red Wings defenders. He looked good on the forecheck. He looked a little bit more physical. He was good in transition. So kudos to him. Domi and Robertson now got to piece it together. It's like you've seen spurts out of certain guys, but never as a whole and never consistently. It's got to start to get more consistent. Fourth line, Dakota Joshua, Nic Roy, Calle Järnkrok. Calle Järnkrok on pace for 82 goals this season. A goal in each of the first 3 games, 3 goals for him. You feel good for him because he struggled out of the gates last year where he was injured in the preseason, and then we didn't see him for a long time down the road, sitting and watching and rehabbing and trying to train just to get back to game action has to be mentally exhausting. He came back. It didn't really work out that well for him right off the hop. You can tell here now Berube's got some faith in him. He's got some trust in the guy, and he likes him out there. Starts the season off on the right foot. That's a positive for Calle Järnkrok. And the one thing I will go back to, and there's a lot of people who say, get this guy out of here. We don't need Calle Järnkrok. I will push back on that and say, if Calle Järnkrok's in your top 6, you're in trouble. If Calle Järnkrok is in your third and your fourth lines, you're in an okay position because he's a serviceable bottom 6 guy who can make a difference here and there. He's a guy who can create some offense, who can score some goals. He's got some decent hands. And he's also a guy who just works his bag off, is defensively responsible, and he does get in on the forecheck. Yeah, I'm not talking about a guy who's going to lead the league in hits or is a physical punisher, but he gets involved, and I got to give kudos to him there. Nic Roy, I thought, has looked good, not great. And Dakota Joshua, I need a lot more from at this point. In the last game, I felt like I could see a couple of shifts that showed that step. He was taking that step, I guess, but then it would just be like one step right back on the very next shift. So let's piece some things together. Maybe he's just trying to get comfortable. He's trying to adapt. Maybe the whole lineup is trying to adapt. I'm not really sure right now, but Dakota Joshua, he's one of the guys that's got to step up for me here as well. Quickly here as we go to our defense, no changes for the D pairings, which you'll note here on Daily Faceoff. No changes for the D pairings, but I do look at that third pair and think they have to be much better. Ekman-Larsson, Benoit, they really got to start to figure it out. It's not been the prettiest start to the season for those guys. And, you're not looking at your third pair and saying, hey, you got to be the ones to get going, but you can't be detrimental when you go out there, and it feels like Benoit's been a step behind, and Ekman-Larsson is suffering for it. The other thing I will point out here is Morgan Rielly. I personally think he's been better. I know I got some pushback from Leafs Nation during the postgame show on the last one. I was saying I think Morgan Rielly has been better so far this season. I'm using it relative to last year. If people are trying to compare the guy to Cale Makar and say he's not that, well, your expectations are going to fall short every single time you watch him play because he's never going to be that. Just come to grips with it. He's not. So stop comparing to Victor Hedman and I don't even know who else, Roman Josi and Cale Makar and these kinds of guys. He's not that player. He's not Noah Dobson. He's not Lane Hudson. Just accept him for what he is and evaluate the player that you have. He's been better than what he was last season. Effective in the rush. He's being more confident with the puck. He's jumping up in plays. He's not a defensive guy. But last game, he had some brain-dead plays that took place, including that icing at the end of the game. And I think he'd be the first person to tell you that was a dumb time to ice the puck. It was not the appropriate time to ice it. And it really, really cost the Leafs at that point. Tie game. Under 2 minutes left, face off in your own zone. You get hemmed in. Matthews blocks a shot. Mason Appleton ends up burying past you. But I think that one starts and can not solely be blamed on Morgan Rielly, but some heavy finger pointing can take place at Morgan Rielly on that. The power play here is that you're going to look at. First power play unit, Matthews-Knies, John Tavares, William Nylander, Morgan Rielly, and Auston Matthews. Look, point blank, there's no way to say this one other than they stink. Have not scored a power play goal so far this season. This has not a Mitch Marner is gone issue. This is an intensity issue. The power play was not good when Mitch was here. The power play is not good when Mitch is not here. It does not matter. The intensity level has to pick up from these guys. It starts at 5-on-5 and it carries over to your special teams. If you do not have a sense of urgency when you're out there on the power play or at 5-on-5 for that matter as well, you are screwed. It's never going to work. You're never going to be that successful. Watch the Oilers, the Avalanche, the Dallas Stars. You name your successful teams, the Florida Panthers. They go on these special teams situations, and they are out there to kill. Whether it's the penalty kill or it's the power play, they are on a mission, and the Maple Leafs just aren't when it comes to their power play, and they never have been. You got to turn that around. It's one of my favorite sayings from Miracle on Ice when Herb Brooks comes into the room and he says, "You thought you could win on talent. You don't have to win. You don't have enough talent to win on talent alone." And that's from those guys. The Maple Leafs have, and they've relied on that. You've lost some of that talent. So now more than ever, you have to put the work in because, sure, you had your 102-point guy. You replaced him with Morgan Rielly, who puts up 40 points, 50 points, 60 in a really good year. You're going to have to work harder. It's not just going to come to you. You got to figure it out. The intensity, more than ever, needs to up. Second power play unit, Bobby McMann, Max Domi, Easton Cowan, Ekman-Larsson, and Matias Maccelli. I'm happy to see Cowan get that opportunity on the second power play unit, and to be quite honest with you, if things are not going smoothly for the first unit tonight against Nashville, he's probably the first guy to put up there because he's going to be hungry. He's going to be hungry. Those are your power play units for tonight. That is your defensive core for tonight. Quick note, starting goaltenders. We have a battle of the backups here. Justus Annunen goes for the Nashville Predators. Obviously, they played UC Saros last night against Ottawa in Ottawa, or yesterday afternoon for that matter. Caden Primeau will go for the Maple Leafs. First game with the Leafs. I'm a little nervous, but I hope that this inspires the team to play stronger defensively in front of him because to this point, they've had their struggles. So Caden Primeau goes for the Maple Leafs here tonight. With that, let's get to our best bet segment of the night. And our best bet is a presentation of Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, code NATION at Bet365. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Let's head on over to our friends at Bet365 and see what we've got here tonight, starting with the lines. Nashville plus 155, the Maple Leafs minus 185. I think that's a little aggressive here given what we've seen out of this team for the first three games and the fact that Caden Primeau is going. To be honest with you, if I was going to go either way here, I'm probably going Nashville money line. That's just the honest truth. It's solely based on value. Minus 185 is nuts for the Maple Leafs. I think they win tonight, but minus 185 is nuts. Going to the total, 6.5. Personally, if I were to lean one way or the other, I'm probably looking more towards the over. I feel like this is one of those ones where Craig Berube's called out Nylander, called out the team. You know, they know they got to shoot the puck. I'm not so confident in their defensive abilities to shut things down, or the fact that it's Caden Primeau. So I could see the Leafs like putting up 50 shots on goal here tonight. Matthews and Nylander go out there and put up 10, 15 each. We saw Matthews with 15 shot attempts in yesterday's game. I expect him to continue that tonight. I could see a lot of goals either way. Now, our best bet is not going to be in either of those. Those are just my thoughts on it. We're going to the player tab here, and we're going to have two best bets for tonight's game. So first, we're going to go to the shots on goal market, and I talked about the fact that Craig Berube called out William Nylander. He's got to move his feet. He's got to shoot the puck. So we're going to go with William Nylander, 4+ shots on goal for tonight's game. William Nylander, 4+ shots on goal. That will come in at +205. We're going to go a half unit, $50 on that one. So that'll be over 3.5 shots on goal for William Nylander, +205. $50 on this one will profit you $102.5. That is the first one. The second one that we're going to go with as we close that tab, we're going to go down to the points market where we're going to find Easton Cowan points +120 to record 1+ point or over 0.5 points. Easton Cowan +120. We're going to go half unit on this one, which will return us $55 as profit on a $50 bet for Easton Cowan to record a point. Those are your two bets for tonight's game. William Nylander, 4+ shots on goal, +205 there, I believe that was. And then the other one, +205. And then the other one will be Easton Cowan to record a point at +120. Thank you guys so much for watching here today. If you like this video, if you like the preview, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe here to Leafs Nation 401 YouTube channel. And tune in tonight for another edition of Leafs Nation After Dark. Myself and special guest Nick Alberga will be breaking this one down following the final buzzer around 9:45 Eastern time. So hit that like button, drop your predictions down in the comments below. Let me know what you think of today's best bets as well. And then join us back here following tonight's game against the Nashville Predators for another edition of Leafs Nation After Dark. Thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy the game tonight. And as always, keep believing. For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.